It's ladies and gentlemen time. Ladies and gentlemen time.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Rich by
Rich
Wednesday
by Monday.
podcast.
Yeah, we coming out every Wednesday.
Every-
I mean, as you can tell, for our loyal listeners, this one's coming out a little bit late.
mm-hmm.
Mostly my fault. I was dying over the weekend, and I
Yeah,
made
go
it
ahead
back.
and
I
tell
made
them.
it
Go
back.
ahead and tell everybody how you was acting like a baby. Go ahead.
Man, I was sick, man. I couldn't speak. My voice wasn't there. Snot running down my nose. I couldn't record if I tried to.
So, do
I
you
didn't want to see
think
me like that.
that was the Delta variant?
Nah, I don't think so. I think it's just I'm outside more and I'm not used to having so many other germs besides the coronavirus around. And I think we're going to go through a period where we have to have those germs get back in our body so our body learns to fight them off again.
Makes
Because
sense.
we were wearing masks for a year and a half. Like I didn't get any colds at all. I probably got like one cold in a year and a half. I'm
Yeah,
usually good for like at least two a year.
I don't think I got sick either.
So it was like it was rare. It was rare to get sick at all. And I'm like, man, these masks really work. So they could make us like really immune to or at least more apt to get sick
Yeah,
once you take them off. And now with the mask mandate gone in California, I mean, it's a lot of maskless activities happening. So
man, it was like instant. Like I've been in other places and it was you could tell like outside was definitely open,
yeah,
but man, out here, bro, like I think I think I might have gone. I think I went to the store. Maybe I went somewhere. Like, oh yeah, I did. I went to Home Depot, and
mm-hmm.
usually, at self checkout, they'll, the people will come behind you and wipe all the stuff down,
Right.
and they didn't do none of that. It
No,
was
all
like,
that's out.
yeah, so I'm coming in, the a person finished before me, and then so I'm just standing there. I'm kind of waiting for her to go on, like, yo, you gonna clean that? Like, cause I'm not
Yeah,
going over there unless it's clean.
yeah,
And she just kind of looked at me like, nah, we don't do that no more.
yeah. It's over.
And I was
Yeah, we
like,
won't do that no
okay.
more. We're not clean no more. I remember New Yorkers were getting mad because they were still cleaning the subways in a time where cleaning the subways was a new thing. Like that was the thing during Corona. Like, oh, they're gonna clean the subways like I don't know 3 times a week or something. And whatever the schedule was, they were going to continue it. And New Yorkers got kind of mad. Like they still out here cleaning the subways. So it's like that seems like a good idea to keep going. But
I
why we
mean,
can't just be clean at all
I,
times?
I kind of get it from in places like New York and even some parts of like LA. I get it because out there you have to constantly be moving in order to like
Yeah.
survive. Like
Yeah, I
so,
get it. Yeah, I can
you
see
know,
it's yeah, only transportation or huge transportation. Yeah, because they don't drive out there.
nah,
But still, though, I mean, it'd be a lot of crazy stuff happening on New York train transit. You see,
yeah, no,
there's like a
it's
Instagram, like a what is it, Subway Creatures or something like that on Instagram. And there's so much wild things that happen on New York trains. You know, people naked sitting on the seats, all kind of
yeah. I'm not ready. I don't know how
like
that's
all
normal.
kind
You
of
know what
stuff.
though? We say like I don't know how that's normal, but then like out here I can go like to Venice
Hmm.
and and see something way crazier
Yeah, but they're
and
not
just
like
walk
riding
past it.
shot. They're not riding shotgun with you though. Like
Yeah,
imagine
but
that crazy, like you riding down the freeway and they in your passenger seat.
yeah, that's different. Yeah, that's, that's different. Because out here it's like
You gotta be up on it.
you're 10 feet from a guy who's like
Yeah,
making out with a stick or something. Like
yeah.
that's
It's
different.
different than 2 feet away. It's like okay, we're in the same spot. I
Yeah,
gotta
you're
act like
right.
it's not happening. Close up.
You're right. You're
That's
right. It
wild
is
though.
different. I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
want to
yeah,
go. I never been in New York. I always wanted to go. I wanted to move there after high school to go to school actually, and
Mm-hmm.
never happened, of course. But I just always wanted to go. But you
Yeah, I
know,
still
I'm
haven't made
kind
it
of
either.
nervous now. Isn't that crazy? Like you've been to China before you've been in New York.
Yeah, I've been to more international places than like domestic, which is just it's just unplanned, really. Just no planning.
Yeah.
That's how you go places. No planning.
Well, first and foremost, do some housekeeping. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Get the algorithm on our side. You know, we got to say that now because we YouTubers. So
Yeah.
let YouTube know that you like this kind of content, so that we can, you know, we can continue to make it, give you guys what you want, continue to grow the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was actually looking at potential. I mean, I always am, but looking at potential studios, and
Yeah.
I found some inspiration, man. I'm thinking I got some ideas.
Man. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I'm in a different location. Um, I had the location I was in is actually a self-sufficient unit that was not rented during the pandemic, so now it is leased. And the plan was to go back to my old office space, and they were completely leased out.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking for other office spaces and closer to like the cities I wanted to be in. And I looked at one spot, and it was cool. The lease was the rate was pretty cool, but I got there, and I think he low key just wasn't messing with me. You know, I don't think he just really wanted to rent to me. Like, yeah, I seen him, and he had like a stone face, like, oh, okay, here we go. And I'm telling him what I do. We already talking through text and stuff. And he just kind of just standoffish for a long time. So I'm looking at the property and I'm asking more questions. He's not selling me at all on it. And then I'm like, all right, well, let me check out the lease. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I gotta know. I'm like, well, how many square foot is it? Because it's price per square foot. So I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
know what the lease is unless I know how many square feet it is, so you can do the math. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know. I'm gonna have somebody measure it over the weekend, but I'm really swamped right now. I got a lot of things going. So if I don't, get back to you, just, text me or call me. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. So I get back to him, ask him for like a few days, like, yeah, did you get the square footage so I can know what the lease is? He finally gets it to me, like maybe like 2 or 3 days later. I'm like, okay, well, you want to send me the lease or should I send it to you? He's like, oh, you gotta, apply online. So just drops a link. I'm like, okay, here we go. So I was out and about, and I ended up stopping to do fill out the online lease application, which is a residential lease application. So I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
now I know who I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I fill everything out, and I text him like, yeah, yeah, I filled everything out. You got to pull your credit and all that, and just let me know whatever else you need. Oh yeah, we just rented it. I'm like, okay, well just cancel the deposit or cancel the they're gonna it's basically a application fee and make sure you don't charge me. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I have to chase you down for 2 days. I fill everything out. And then you're like, oh, yeah, we already leased it. Just tell me you already got somebody in mind you're leasing to or lease it to. Like, don't give me the runaround.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with all that being said, I don't have any
Mm-hmm.
office right now. So,
I mean, I was kind of looking at because out here, man, like the rates for office space is expensive.
yeah,
You know, you're
it's
paying,
stupid.
or on the west side, you're paying like 40, $50 a square foot, sometimes 60.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I would probably, it might be cheaper just to actually go and rent an apartment.
Man, it'll be cheaper to buy a car and turn it into a mobile office or van or
Well, I
something.
don't know. I don't know. Cause well, out here, I wouldn't have nowhere to put it out here. You know, like I don't have RV parking.
You can get a storage space. It's,
yeah,
it's which is probably what I'm going to do. Not storage space, but just really focusing on mobile office because I'm always in my car anyway.
I mean, I get
Which
it.
is why I just got a hotspot for my phone
Yeah,
provider,
I remember you were telling me that. Yeah.
and it was very affordable, and you can link like 3 different accounts, and you can have hotspot like, and it's way better than the hotspot on your phone. I don't know how many gigs it is, but I think this is like 100 gigs a month or something. So yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I might just be mobile office for now, which is what I do
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, that was kind of like the point. Well, that was like everybody's thing about the pandemic was like
Mm-hmm.
how the whole work from home thing, and oh, we don't have to go back into the office, and
Right.
now people are like, oh, we don't even have to go back to work in general,
Yeah.
unless. And so I was kind of thinking like, you know, I I understand how things can seem like they're on your side, like favor is on your side in the moment. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of feel like that won't end well,
um.
because you're giving,
Why?
see, well, because there's so much so many political obstacles in the way of a person even getting fired,
Mm-hmm.
right? So at the beginning of the pandemic, it gave companies an excuse to shed dead weight,
Mm-hmm.
right? It gave them a reason to fire people that they couldn't fire without risking a lawsuit,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now these people are gone, and so for them for now they're in a position of like, we need to bring people back in,
Mm-hmm.
qualified people. But what if what if, which I think is actually happening, and I've seen it from, not from me, but from Vita's job, right? So they've had to wear so many different hats
Mm-hmm.
and do so many different things during this whole process, and
Yep.
it's put a lot of people in bad situations, like people who've had jobs throughout this time. A lot of them can't do that because they're just so accustomed to operating a certain way. And
Mm-hmm.
it made me think like, I think this has kind of forced many of these companies to be more nimble, and there may not be as much money on the table for some of these positions, whereas they could just pay somebody more money
Mm-hmm.
to do multiple,
Yeah,
right?
they've been doing that, um, but they've been paying them the same and making them do more
No,
tasks
I get
on the
that. I
job.
get that.
So I mean, it's a win if now they start paying more people or start paying people more money for doing more tasks or having more responsibilities.
I feel
Um,
like they would have to, just because of like, there's no way to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there's no way to kind of, how like, okay, you're a realtor, but a part of your,
a
or
real estate agent. I like to
we're
say
real
real estate
estate,
agent.
yeah, we're real estate professionals, but part of our job merges with like the lenders from time to time, right? Like, we have to
Mm-hmm.
understand kind of what they need to see, what they're doing, to be able to communicate with our client, like the situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that doesn't mean I actually am the lender, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if we were paid salary, I feel like that wouldn't necessarily warrant, a pay increase on the behalf
Mm-hmm.
of the company. Not saying you shouldn't get paid more. I'm just saying on the behalf of the company, they would look at that and probably say that doesn't warrant a pay increase. You're just an
Mm-hmm.
exceptional employee by
You're right.
understanding more than your position.
Mm-hmm.
But if you become the lender and the broker, now you're doing two jobs,
Right.
and
If you're
and
processing 2 jobs, you need to get paid
paid
twice.
more. So I
Right.
think that's the difference, in my
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
just from my small sample size. I think that's the difference right now, is that the
Mm-hmm.
people who are working and are getting paid, because there's a lot of money out there for jobs, but there's a lot of people they've been able to merge multiple, like basically multiple titles into
Mm-hmm.
one position. Like Vita just got a new job, um, again, and they made a position for her. They had to make it up
Yeah.
because of everything she brings to the table. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
just from my small sample size, I feel like that's something that could potentially happen, um, I don't want to say across the board, but just more than you would probably think.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I mean, all job titles are made up. So why not make up a job title for what I do specifically?
Mm-hmm.
They're all made up anyway. Um, but I think it's gonna I think in general, I think the power is shifting towards the labor force right now. And I think we're seeing that on all levels, all the way down to like the entry level worker, all the way up down, all the way up to like the corporate ladder. People who have higher skills, or I don't want to say higher skills, but are definitely skilled, um, to meet certain tasks. And I think we're starting to see if you're willing to hold out long enough to get what you want, um, the companies usually come around, which I think we haven't seen like in the last 10 or 15 years. The last recession, it was like, just take what you can get. This is what it is. It was literally like that. People were, it was bad. Like 2008, 9, 10, 11, all, I mean, all up into now, really, all up to last
Yeah.
year, it was like, take what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And because the economy has been flooded with so much money, where people were allowed to have a little bit breathing room to make different choices, right? I don't know if they've made actual more money, or they had better living situations, or better economical situations to make better choices, to have that breathing room. Maybe they moved in with a family member. Maybe they have additional roommate. But something happened where people were able to like just hold out a little bit longer. I know most of it
Mm-hmm.
was, the government threw out a lot of money, but I don't think that was the only thing. And
No, not at all. Yeah.
I think it's going to be an interesting time. That coupled with where people actually don't have to go into a workplace actually work, it opens up like so many different places people can actually live and exist. Like you can literally just travel and work from wherever. Really, you can
Mm-hmm.
live anywhere technically. The whole commuting idea of I have to be in a certain radius around my job. I have to live in a certain radius around my job in order to live as a human being. Like that's going to be out the window pretty soon. So I think
I
it's going
mean,
to open up
I
so
think
many opportunities.
for some for some positions, I think that's definitely the case. I think companies will be slow to adopt that just because they're old.
Yeah,
Like these
and
are
that,
old
that would
people
be
running them.
that would
You
be
know.
mostly like, yeah, I agree. Mostly like construction, hands-on jobs,
Yeah.
like
Well, yeah.
where you have to be there. It's like, no, you can't just go to Maine during the week. Like, no, I need you on a job site all week. I'm not going to accept you living in your van and traveling the country.
Well, one of the what bank was it? I think it was J.P. Morgan. Like one of the banks in New York. Like the CEO was like, if you can go to a restaurant, you can come into the office, and if you don't go to the office, you're fired.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna that's not gonna exist. That uh, it's just not. It's I think the dominant force when you give the labor market an idea of how things can be, and they can see the pressure on the company, with you not moving, you already lost it. I think you already lost, and I think people are have they've been given enough time to see what the pressure puts on corporations if they don't pay a livable wage, if they don't give the labor force a little bit of flexibility with time off, like sick time for kids, um, time off for pregnancy, all these different things, like all these different family things, time off you need. Um, that flexibility, I think we're going to start to see ramp up a little bit more because it's been way too stringent for too long, and
Oh.
I think some companies are going to be willing to give their workforce those those extra things that they need just to survive on the job. And I think people are willing to have those. those luxuries, if you want to call them that, rather than an extra eight to $6,000 to $8,000 a year.
I would agree. I do think I think that's for the average person. Well, now, um, I do think they would be willing to sacrifice something like that to just have peace of mind, just because it's more socially, um, it's more of a thing now. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
more of a thing to be like, well, you know, and I get it because I was that way when I worked in corporate America. Like, I never asked for a day off. I just told them I wasn't gonna be here this day. They approved it or not. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm just, hey, I'm out.
Right.
Like, and that's why I'm
That's
a
what people
terrible
doing anyway.
employee. Yeah, like, but I don't know. That's not the case for other people. But that was just me. But I was willing to sacrifice that because I knew whatever I was losing that day, I could make up elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was just whatever I was gaining from not being in that place that day was worth whatever I lost. And I
Right.
just think more people today feel that way. But
Right.
from the side of like the company's perspective, you know, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because while I agree that you should pay people more money, I understand that in order to do so, like, it doesn't really change much, because if they do pay people more money, um then they'll have to increase their cost to the consumer, whoever their consumer is, because that's where it'll come from, right? In order for them to retain their margins.
Mm-hmm.
So, you
But
know, so
even
yes.
even that type of thing is like a fraction when you think about it. Um, I think that because that's something an argument that's always used,
Hmm.
and I believe it was a study for it was one of the fast food franchises, and it basically amounted to if you paid them a certain hour per certain wage per hour, it amounted to like 10 cent on a sandwich or burger or whatever it was,
Hmm.
additional 10 cent. And if you ask the everyday consumer, they're like, okay, I'll pay additional 10 cent for someone to get
Yeah, but
X amount of raise.
I wonder how old that report was,
That was
because that's because even like Chipotle, bro. Like, you go to Chipotle, like something that would have cost you like $9 is like $13 now.
mm-hmm. So that's what let's just say 3 more dollars.
For
Yeah. So I mean, pay
I'm not
$4 more
complaining. I'm not
or make your own
complaining.
burger or make your
I'm
own
just
burrito.
I'm just they just put that on the front. Like, go home, make your own shit.
Our burritos cost $13. So if you can make a better burrito for under 13, then be my guest.
I'm not complaining about it. I just understand how it'll play out.
Right.
Because
Well, I just
even
feel
if it
like
doesn't
most
make it,
people are willing to pay the additional price.
some are and some aren't. Because I think in theory, it's just like that dude who won the lottery, right? And he was rich for like 10 minutes, and now he's like, California's taxing they're taxing me to death. I got to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But before that, it was, oh, they don't want to pay their taxes, you know, and everything else that was going to that point when he wasn't rich.
Mm-hmm.
Then he wins the lottery and he's rich, and all of a sudden he complains about taxes.
Right.
Right. So I think it depends on the situation. Like, in theory, yes, I would love for people to make more money. But when it comes to the actual practice of it, well, why does it have to come from me? That's what the average consumer will say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why do I got to pay extra $5 for this $8 burrito or
Mm-hmm.
$4 just so
Yeah.
you can pay so and so? Like, I don't want to pay for him.
Well, it's two things. I don't think corporations are hurting if they were able to keep the product the same price. Think of franchise like In and Out. How can In and Out sell the same $4 or $5 burger they've been selling for decades?
Now I
How is
want
that
one.
possible? How is it possible they can keep their prices reasonable without hiking them up and pay their employees six-figure salaries?
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's business models that exist that that don't fit that narrative anyway.
But you know why that might be the case? It's because they're a private company.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you put something on the stock market where it's about shareholders making a profit, That's where people don't matter anymore. It just goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about making profit. How can I make my shareholders more money? But if that's what it is, then okay, that's what it is. But don't tell me it can't be done. See, that's two different things. Like, don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. Just tell me the truth. Like, well, we really don't want to do that because we really want to make sure our stockholders make more money. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. But no, they want to kind of sneak it in with, well, you'll pay an extra $5 for your bridge. You don't want that, do you?
Yeah,
Don't
but I
you?
mean, yeah,
Like, nah,
I
come
guess
on.
I kind
They
of
try to
I
play us.
understand. I understand, but they're trying to protect. Everybody's trying to protect what they have,
Yeah,
right? And if they have to play the game to do so, they will. But
right.
so I
And I
understand.
get that, but like, just
Yeah,
well, I guess you just can't tell people the truth. Like, look, I don't want to pay you more
you
because
can't
I'm
because
gonna make less.
they don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to. Nobody wants to. And it all sounds good in thought and in conversation. When it comes to execution, that's when things change because somebody's gonna have to lose, and nobody is just willing to be like, okay, I'll lose,
Yeah.
even if it's not losing. It's
Or
just the way
or
it'll be
like the
thought about.
concept of winning less. I don't think
That
like
too.
there's
Yeah.
like there's no humble in in the game of capitalism. There's no like,
No.
I won enough today. There's like, no, win more.
Yeah,
Win
I can see
more.
that. Yeah,
So
I can see
it's
that.
there's no I won enough. So we're not
Yeah, I can see
talking
that.
about people who are starving. We're talking about people who just want to win more. And I get that too. But it should be laid out. Look, I want to win more, guys. This is
Yeah,
why
but no,
I want to
but
not pay you this amount.
but you can't see. But that's dangerous. That's dangerous in today's time because winning is damn near illegal today.
Mm-hmm.
They don't keep score on nothing no more. Like it's almost illegal to win.
Mm-hmm.
They actually low key they celebrate losers more.
Yeah.
It's if me and you race and you beat me, they'll come talk to me. You'll be over there with your gold medal and all that, like living your life and having fun and celebrating with your family. But all the cameras and everything could be on me. Like so, how does it feel? Well,
How they
you know
cheat
you
you.
did all right. You still did okay. You're still like dog. I lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like what are you talking? I ain't got no money. I lost.
So I ain't got no money.
I ain't got no monies. But so
Yeah, it's,
I don't
it's
know, man.
interesting though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, even
Speaking of, mhm.
I think I don't know if you're gonna talk about it, but the governor is gonna make sure everybody kind of wins by paying off everyone's past rental dues for the past year and a half.
I don't know how that's gonna happen.
California is gonna pay the bill.
Well, there's qualifications though, right? Like you have to qualify for it. I didn't really look into it yet.
Um,
I'm just so like I don't even know where we are anymore. So like when stuff like that happens, I'm like I see it and I'm kind of like, you know what? I'll get back to this in like 2 months because it'll still be here. Like
yeah, yeah. I
um,
don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work. Um, that's not even all the way helpful for everyone. I just hate the fact that it's this one thing fits all type
yeah.
of policy that we have going on. Okay, no evictions for anybody. Everyone gets paid back. Well, when we know over the last year and a half, some people should have been evicted, right?
Mm-hmm.
For certain things that they did, right? Some people may have not shouldn't have been evicted. They could have been given that leeway or that extra leeway, right? There's no one shoe fits all when it comes to these different things. On the other end, okay, you're going to pay everyone back for the past rent they missed. What if I wanted to sell my property and someone decided to stay there, right? I could have sold a year and a half ago and I could have bought in a better market, a
Mm-hmm.
lower market, maybe better interest rates. Maybe I missed a job opportunity because I couldn't move. There's so many different things that could have affected you based on what the moves you couldn't make. And some people make the argument, well, people were really hurting. Da, da, da. And yes, people were. Some people weren't. Some people were just being assholes by staying in people's homes. And there should have been some type of policy to you know pick those people out and evict them properly. So
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, we got a one size fits all policy, and they just basically kicked the can down for another few months on the rent moratorium. Now it's September in California, and I'm sure they're gonna kick it down the next few months. So
I don't understand. Like I don't understand. I don't even know what. Like I'm seriously considering about like just stepping away from real estate. Like I'm serious.
it's
Like
like,
I'm like, you know what, this might not be, this is not right, at least not right like right now.
mm-hmm,
If it'd be different if I had like continuing like institutional level clients who
mm-hmm,
just bought and sold all the time, or I had like the same 3 or 4 guys that just constantly did transactions and I could do 5 to 10 a year and I'm all right.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
I don't
that's
have
where
that.
you want to be.
Yeah, it's like I don't have like a guy. I have a good base of people that prospects that I have like real relationships with, but I don't have like people I can just
Mm-hmm.
generate deals with on that level.
Right.
So I'm just highly, I'm really thinking about like, you know what, I might need to shift my focus for a minute, just because
Mm-hmm.
it's like one big game to them.
Mm-hmm.
And uh and it's just dumb. And at least like for us is like professionals in the industry, it leaves us in the dark, because then there isn't really much you can do for people
mm-hmm.
in that are in certain situations, and then that reflects on who you are as a professional. If that
Mm-hmm.
person doesn't fully understand that, they might try to blame you for something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's not the case. Like, the case is your government is being ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can do is explain it the best you can. Um, I can see, the professional that brings it to them. I mean, they can get the brunt of the anger, but it's like, hey, most people wouldn't know what was going on unless we told them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, look, I'm most likely keeping you informed so you can make better choices. That's it, really. So you can make better decisions. And I mean, I think that's all we can do. Really, that's all we can do, because we don't affect policy in terms of, I mean, no one voted on this. So, I don't remember voting. So it's like we kind of can affect policy sometimes on certain key issues. So I mean, that's a whole thing. And sometimes you just sit back and like, I guess they kind of can just do what they want. But then you don't want to sit back and
Yeah.
just be like that type of person, be like, well, they're gonna do what they want anyway. Well, it's like, well, not for all things, maybe few things,
Yeah.
but we will get the chance to vote one day on the things
I'm
that really affect our lives.
I don't know, man. I'm like 70-30 right now.
Mhm.
I don't want to do this shit no more. For real,
uh,
man. It's
I think
it's it's too much. It's just, this is one of the moments where I feel like I really wish I was selling houses and not apartment buildings, because it's like, I was tripping. But
that's why you got to diversify, my brother.
I can't do it though. I don't have the I feel like the guys who are like the rock star realtors, they have
Mm-hmm.
like I call it like the lit, right? Where they're always like, like the host of like a game show. They're always happy, they're excited. And you know what I mean? And it's like, you see, oh, what's up, man? And like, I'm not like that. I'm a low
uh,
intensity guy. Like,
right,
I'm not. And so I don't have that level of just natural. Because I feel like, I'm like, why are you so excited?
right.
You ever meet one of them guys and it's like, why are you so happy right now? Like,
I mean,
relax.
I don't have that though. Do
I
you think I
know.
have that?
No, but I feel like you relate more to people. Well, it's funny. It's funny
You're more
because
like human to people.
yeah, like I'm kind of like I don't want to do that, you know.
Right.
Um, I might mess around and talk myself out of a sale, you know,
Right.
because of just of certain things.
Hmm.
I feel like you do a better job. That's why I tell people all the time. Like I know two brokers who are the sharpest brokers I've ever met in my life. One is
Hmm.
Drew, right? One is you, and
I appreciate that.
that's why I refer all of my residential clients to you because I'm not
Hmm.
gonna mess it up.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna allow myself to mess it up with me trying to be too smart or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So if it's residential, we can have a conversation. I'll figure out your story, but I'll pass it on to you to be like,
Hmm.
okay, here's the situation. Boom.
Right.
I don't
Right.
want nothing to do with it because
I
it's
mean that I mean that's a role in itself, you know. The assist, that's a role in itself.
yeah, I guess
So
it is.
I mean that's what I
I
mean
guess
by
it is.
diversifying. But um yeah, I appreciate that. But um
Like
I understand what you're saying though.
even the lady at the young woman I talked to today, I told her I'm gonna refer her to you
Hmm.
ultimately. Like we can talk. I'll figure out what you want, but I'm gonna refer her to you just because you know I'm not gonna mess it up. Like
Right.
I don't need to make all the money. Like I'm
Hmm.
fine with here man, you make the money
Right. Right.
as long as it's made somewhere. Just because I'm not like Terrence J or something and jumping
Hmm.
off couches and telling you to buy a house doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go buy a house with somebody that
Right.
I know. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
I don't know.
So sometimes I think that type of sales um I don't know, strategy, I guess. Um and I don't want to say strategy because I know people that I worked with it when I was at a, like places like I don't want to say the names, but big box brokerages.
Yeah.
And I remember people like reading scripts, learning how to say things, certain questions, and it just felt also corny to me and just um, not authentic. Um, but people who stuck to those scripts and said them same corny lines and did the same, they did work. They
Yep.
did work. And if you just trying to just be authentic and cool, sometimes you don't do as much work. Um, I mean, there's other components that going on into that, like being consistent with mostly just prospecting and follow up. But I don't think I'm in general like the typical sales outgoing person in your face. Like I can be personable, we can hang, we can joke, but mostly I'm just quiet. Mostly I'm quiet.
I think that's the case with
Mostly I'm
both of us.
quiet. I'm more
Yeah.
responding to what's going on
Hmm.
around me rather than um um making people respond. And I think if you're like a true core salesman, you make people respond in terms of like questioning them, just getting up on them and question them immediately. I'm more of a follow-up question. If somebody says something or mentions something, I would maybe do a follow-up question to you know dig deeper in what they might need. But so yeah, I mean I struggle with that too. But I'm also real direct though, so I don't do a whole lot of fluff
Hmm.
either. Which sometimes my texts seem like like they make seem like kind of just direct and to the point because that's just how I like to speak. It's like usually I'm just
Yeah.
sitting not talking, and then when I say something, I just want to say as minimal words as possible to get my thought across, so you can
Yeah.
respond and give me the answer I was seeking. But
No, I mean that makes sense.
sometimes that's not the best way to build relationships.
I mean, I think so. I think I think I
Well,
don't
to some
know.
people,
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
because
I'm
sometimes if you
just
want to build true relationships, I don't want to just hit people with a script and lead them down a line of questioning that's going to lead down to something I want from them. It's just I don't want
yeah, it's
anything
not
for anyone.
organic.
I
Yeah,
just want
it's not
if
organic.
things
But see,
make sense, they make sense.
maybe that's what it is. Is that I get hung up on like how organic it feels or how organic it doesn't feel by
Right.
by because I've been accustomed to doing one thing a certain way and then to to go back and be like, all right, well, I'm gonna try this. It just doesn't feel the same,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
so it's like I don't know. I'm just like
Yeah.
I'm at the point where I'm just kind of like, you know what, man, it's too much. Like it's all these emotions, and and then you care about things a certain way, and I'm bad at that because
Yep.
I'm passionate about
Mm-hmm.
certain things, not all things, but certain things, right? And so certain things hit me differently because at the residential level, it's a little different unless you're dealing with like developers. Then you
Mm-hmm.
might be involved in like politics, you're meeting people, um, you're starting to meet like a lot of the major players, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
In commercial, which it's a little bit different because a lot of those things come with the territory. Like you have to be involved in it, and and I didn't fully realize that until I started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
How much you had to pay attention to local policy,
Yeah.
and how it would benefit your business. And while I use it as um, a way to drum up business because I was in tune with the communities
Mm-hmm.
and aware of what was going on, so I can have information for people. But at the same time, it was like you know it becomes a whole different thing because of what these policies have done to people, historically,
Mm-hmm. Like
right?
which
And so,
policies?
things like rent control and and even just all of that, man. Just I'm not even trying to go down that, but just all of that stuff comes up. And so when your interactions with the property owners, it's not just me advising you from a perspective of like just some random broker. I'm advising you from a different position. I'm advising you
Mm-hmm.
as, like I understand where you come from. And I think that's good. I think that's the case for both of us. Because
Mm-hmm.
we
Yeah.
kind of learned real estate from the perspective of buying it, like being the investor.
Mm-hmm.
It was never really like I don't feel like we learned it being on the sales side. I feel like most of our knowledge in real estate came from being, you know,
Right.
the investor side of things. And so it's like I relate to you. So I'm advising you from a perspective of I understand,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to kind of deliver certain points, and when they don't resonate, it's kind of frustrating
Right.
because like I'm trying to save you. Like, they're like I don't
Right.
want to be saved, like,
Yeah.
and
That's where you I learned this
I
phrase
don't
a
know.
long time ago. You can't tie yourself to the
I
result.
know, man. I
You
know.
can't tie
I know.
yourself to the result. And I think if we use, because I mean, I've struggled with that in many years, in my beginning years, and still in some cases, this whole survivor or saver mentality.
Mm-hmm.
That you're going to save the community. Based on what I say, and then I just have to just get over myself and realize that real estate is not new. Information is not new.
No.
The information's been here in books, and it's been literature, and people before me have said the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tie myself to I'm not saying it correctly, which is why people aren't getting it or why people aren't moving. It's just they're just not moving, and it's not
Yeah.
on me. I provided all the information I could based on the knowledge I have and what I know and all the information that's available to us, and presented it in a way that was easily consumable and digestible. And I did my job. I followed up, I followed up, I followed up, and I can't tie myself to the result. And I think that's for
Mm-hmm.
anybody with any business. You know, if you're running a business and you're doing all you can on your side, on the business side of it, and for whatever reason you're their end buyer or client, um, you know, can't accept the information or won't move on it, it's not it's, at some point it can't be on you anymore if you provided everything because you can't make anyone do anything.
Yeah.
That's not what sales is about anyway. It's about
No.
presenting all the information clearly, um, and letting them make the decision based on your consultation. That's it. That's it. That's
You know,
all.
I think that's what it is. I think ultimately that's because I'm so like super competitive and like I don't play sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's
Like,
like
I'm gonna win here.
yeah, so it's like, it's like, all right, cool. You execute, and then when the result doesn't come in the way that, you know, that you thought it would, it's like, okay, well, what did I do wrong? Cuz I always point to me. Like when it comes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always trying to be like accountable for myself, right?
Right.
So if something doesn't go correctly or something goes wrong, I look at immediately like what could I have done differently?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy just to say, well, that person is whatever. You can call them whatever you want, or you can
Mm-hmm.
say, you call them a name, you can say they're stupid, whatever. But I always try to look at, okay, well, what could I have done differently to get the
Mm-hmm.
result I wanted? And then you also know that I don't really forget certain things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So even if you're the first person I talk to, by the time I get to 1,000, I still remember the first.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that first this didn't work out the way I wanted it to is in the back of my head every day.
Right. Right.
Maybe I need therapy. Is that what it is? I need to go to therapy.
Your memory is too strong because I do have the memory of a
uh,
goldfish.
Man, I need that. I wish I could just not care about people.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that
Um,
today. Like I
More
wish
so
I
not
could just not care
remember,
about people.
not remember, not remember as strongly or detailed because I'm sure it's a lot of people I still should be mad at and it still should get these hands,
You know
but
what? That's true.
but
That's
I
true.
forget, you
Because
know.
you do like we do have conversations where like stuff will come up and you'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, all the
And I'm
time.
sitting there like, yo, how did you forget
like,
that?
like it happened. That was like 3 days ago. but
Yeah.
no, but for real, I'm like, um, I don't hold grudges like that either. Though, you know, I try to.
Yeah. I mean,
Sometimes I try to. It's like things that like really like, oh man, like that shouldn't have went down like that. But eventually I forget. I truly forget about it because I go on. And maybe I don't forget, but I move on. Maybe I'm just moving on to the next thing, which is why things like databases, reminders that pop up for me is really helpful. Um, Reminders of calling people, all that type of thing is really helpful. But
I mean, I think I mean, I don't hone in on it. Like I don't necessarily dwell on it. It's just part of my memory.
yeah,
Cause I'm not one to hold grudges either, but I'll never forget.
yeah. Well, I think you have one of those memories where um, they call it like if you can, it's like I don't know, I'm gonna just make it, it's like a string theory or something. It's like if you can attach on to one point of the memory and you can remember that point, it
Mhm.
can lead you to another point and then another point, and then that's when your memory gets deeper and more I guess vast.
Yeah.
Like that's how your brain works. It's like you can remember the event, and it's like, okay, I can remember that event. Okay, I remember what I was wearing. I remember what they was wearing. I remember where we were. That's attaching to each memory as you go down your long term memory. Um, and I've learned because I've always had issues with like memory issues, not like to like where it's like, yo, what's wrong? But more so like,
Oh,
more
you
so
got
like,
Alzheimer's or something?
yeah, more so like, hey, I want to remember this. So it's like they say like you want to remember key points of what happened that day. to like set it in your long-term memory. So if like if we're at the beach, okay, you know, what was I wearing at the beach? What did we eat that day? Something you can anchor a memory you can anchor to that can
Mm-hmm.
pull you back into that memory, so you can kind of search it more deeply. So that's what I've been trying to do lately. So I've been, you notice I've been getting a little bit better. Now you tell me like 10, 15 years ago, like you remember this person, I'm like,
I
every
remember
now and then
all
I'm
that.
like, oh, okay, I remember. But yeah, so
I don't know, man. I'll figure it out. But I'm kind of like, I'm just kind of like, it might be. I don't want to say step away, but like elevate. Like I can't completely step away. Like I've been, it's been a part of my life for all of my life, pretty
yeah,
much.
I
My
like
adult
elevate.
life is, yeah. So it's just maybe like just move into, instead of just like a, from like the salesperson side of things, maybe just move more so into like the investor side, or
Mm-hmm.
something along those lines. Because
Yeah,
real estate is real estate, right? But
it's so many
just from the,
avenues.
yeah, just from the salesperson side, I might be running thin, and I know it because I had a, which we talked about before. I had a meeting with that lady who inherited the property from her dad and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to do some work for her, and it took me forever to do it
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't
Yeah,
want to do it.
right, right,
I probably shouldn't be saying this, but
right.
but it took me
Right.
forever to do it because it's like I don't want to do that.
Well, burnout is a real thing too. I mean, we got to give ourselves grace just based on this last year and a half and what happened. Like
Yeah.
this wasn't like no normal shit, you know? Living
Hmm.
through a whole pandemic, a whole mini recession was not like no small feat. So, um, if we are feeling some burnout, I mean, it's normal. Like it is what it is. I think, a break, a break would be nice.
But
I know,
in a
even,
way, that's kind of like what happened though, because if you look back at, so the pandemic started in March, right?
yeah.
So from immediately in March, I think I might have had 3 or 4 deals that were going in escrow. They weren't in escrow
Mm-hmm.
yet.
Mm-hmm.
They were like we had contracts on them. Offers were verbally accepted. We were getting ready to open escrow.
Mm-hmm.
Pandemic happens. Um, Everything falls apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not because the deals wouldn't go through, but because nobody knew what was going to happen,
Right.
right? So for me, it's like, well, I've had a break. You know what I mean? Like I had a break here. I had to, you know, we couldn't have childcare, so I had to watch the baby
Mm-hmm.
and figure out other ways to do things in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like with that, I don't think it made it. I don't think it made me want to do it more.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
You know what I mean? If that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I can get that. I mean, it's kind of like back in like 2008, 9, 10, where we probably should have switched to short sales as a different means of income. I think it might be one of those situations too, where it's like it's not drop real estate in general, but it's switched to a different avenue.
Hmm.
Which we lagged on back then and lost out on a lot of money. We probably would have been good on just our short sales in our group in
Yeah,
general.
I
You know,
mean, we were 21 or two at the
yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was thinking it today, right? I was like, is that a good thing that we went through that, at that age? Or because a lot of my perspective comes from that. a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
perspective on what's going on today,
Mm-hmm.
and or our shared perspective on like what's going on today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it comes from that. So it's like, well, would you? I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to make sure I say it the right way. Like, was it worth going through that early on, or you know, or not?
Time will tell.
Because you know,
Look, if we write this time around,
because
maybe it's
I
worth
feel
it.
like in some ways, see, when we were that age, right, there was guys who were, so our peers were like in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, because nobody our age was talking about real estate investments or real estate business, whatever, right? Nobody was talking
Mm-hmm.
about that. Um, so our peers were twice our age.
Mm-hmm.
So we went through what we had the same problems that they had, right?
Right.
So now here we are today, you know, 14, 15 years later, and the guys or the people who were our peers are now experiencing, the same things that we went through back then,
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
and so I think and this is probably where most of my frustration comes from with like the internet stuff, is
Mm-hmm.
because usually a person with I think I would say usually a person with our level of knowledge and expertise wouldn't be so close in age to people who would get drawn into internet scams. Or
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to call them scams. I'm not gonna do that no more.
Hustles.
But hustles or gurus, right? But I think because it's been half of our life, we just happen to be the same age as their target market.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so we see it more than we probably should, because the guys who were telling us this stuff when we were 18, 19 years old, people were telling us the things we're telling people now,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they were 60 years old,
Yeah.
50 years old. Now you have someone who's the same age as you, which is us, telling you these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the frustration comes from. Like, just we're the same age, so I'm trying to stop you from doing that, thinking, you know. But normally we probably wouldn't even be. You wouldn't hear what I had to say because you wouldn't be around me. We're 20 or 30 years apart in age.
Mm-hmm.
You would be going through this stuff blindfolded and potentially losing everything on your own, because there would be nobody who was your peer to explain
Right.
how these things work. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I think it was worth it. I think it was worth it to go through an early recession at 20, 21 years old, and not just be around for it, but actually lose things in that time period. But like
mm-hmm,
you said, our peers who were in their 50s and 60s also losing things. And um, uh, obviously, it gave some time to bounce back from it. So our story it ended up being a little different. But I would say it was also good going through it earlier, because I mean it prepared me for this recession. Um, I was from the last recession. I learned how to live below my means and have enough money saved, and not go buy fancy clothes, cars, and jewelry that I did, in my 20s and 21s, my early 20s.
mm-hmm.
So from a practical perspective of, yeah, it worked out. It
Yeah.
prepared me for what happened, this last year and a half, where um, where most of the economy, or most people in the economy, were using everything they had to throw at their debt. Rather, it was running up credit cards, using all type of stimulus, and where I was able to just stack it up and actually pay debt down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think pay a sizable amount of debt down. And I think if I didn't go through it in my 20, around my 21 years old, I mean, this would be a prime time around my mid 30s to really ball out, to really, really ball out, to where the stress would have been unimaginable, because I would have had at least two cars. Um, you know, at least two cars, at least 10 to 20 suits. I mean, just based on what I had before, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
15 to 20 Stacy Adams, all everything rammed up
Stace.
with beat. Like if I'm gonna superimpose my old mindset on me now, like I would have been in ruins. I would have been absolute ruins. So going through a recession early in my early 20s helped definitely 100% now. So I'm okay with that having happened um, then to prepare me for, you know, what happened now in the last year and a half. So it's helpful. It's helpful. And um, the, I think the other part of that is you don't get to, if you, when you live like that under your means, not really having any flashy cars, anything like that, or clothes, um, there's really no flex. There's no available flex for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's all internal flex. It's all internal flex because nobody care about how you paid off your credit card. So what? Like, hey, look at me, I'm iced out. Like, look at the car I just bought. You know, look at the house I just bought.
You know what though? I
So
think there is a flex. Like I told, like with me and sometimes me and Joe, shout out Joe West.
yeah,
Sometimes I'll be
shout out
talking to
Joey.
Joey, and I'll be like, you know what, man? I just want to be cool enough to buy my clothes from Costco.
Right. I'll never be that cool.
Man, I don't know, man. I'm like, I be meeting some people, and it's like, you know what? Like, you got everything that you could ever want. Like, so what if you got Kirkland jeans?
I'm
You know
definitely
what I
a
mean?
bargain shopper. Um, you know, clearance sale, J.C. Penney's, Macy's. Um, I'll do all those things. I'm off the rack suit and go get it tailored. You know, I'll make I call them affordable. I'm looking at quality cut, um, and just overall, you know the materials it's made out of.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I look at first before I look at who makes it. I'm looking at the quality and the cut of it mostly, and if it's useful, and how long it's gonna last. If I stick to those things, like I don't really care. I don't really focus on who made it. Well, and if it's in my budget. And sometimes you have a piece you want to buy. It might be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to last you 5 to 8 years. I've been wearing the same winter jacket for like 5, 6 years. Every time I throw that jacket on, they're like, "Oh, that's a nice jacket." I'm like, "You said that 5 years ago." So, it's 100% wool jacket though. So I bought it in mind of I'm going to wear this jacket for a long time, so it has to last.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I buy all my things. All my cars, I'm like, I want them Japanese made. I don't have any Japanese cars now because they're just too expensive now. But I will get something that I know is going to be a last and it's going to be reliable because I know I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
have it and own it for so long. So, uh, with that being said, I mean, I like nice things, but I don't want to go broke buying them. That's all. So it's like even like we went to go Rolex shopping. I say shopping. See, that's how you flex on them.
Yeah, shout out P Minty, man.
Yeah, shout out Pete. Um, but really, I'm looking at the quality of what's considered the best, and then I'm going to find something comparable that fits my budget, and that's just how I do things. And some people's budget is better than others. My budget's not better right now.
You know what's funny though? I've learned over time is that the word like broke has many meanings.
Mm-hmm.
And although you'll never hear me say that. Like I would probably never call somebody broke or
Mm-hmm.
refer to myself as broke. I would never. But it has different meanings, right?
Right.
When you say I don't have the money, um, because it's like the older I get, the more I learn, the more I see money as like just a tool for leverage,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when someone says they don't have the money, it doesn't necessarily mean uh, they can't afford it. It just means I don't have the time to, to put money into this thing for the moment,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? Um, and so even with watches, right? Like if when you go looking at watches or shopping, and somebody buys a watch or whatever the case may be, it doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's just like I don't have the time,
Mm-hmm.
because of what that amount of money would cost you in time. You know what I mean? And in terms of quality, that allows you to be able to work your way back into something that actually makes sense for you, right? Like we looked at Daytonas and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. Those are $50,000-$60,000 watches,
Mm-hmm.
and we were able to work our way back into, like, you like the Tudor Black Bay,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
which is
like
like
that
what,
watch.
a $5,000 watch,
Right.
right? So just from a quality perspective, you can look at them together and say, well, in terms of build quality, you know, I can see what the differences are, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can now see what the differences are. I know what I'm paying for. So
Right.
I know if I
Right.
pay $5,000 for this watch, I know what to expect,
Mm-hmm. And,
right?
and that's picking based on what you like. So even
Mm-hmm.
that, I'm looking at what I like first. Not
Absolutely.
not not. It's not so much a I'm settling for this. Like I said, you're looking at what you like, and you're looking at quality, materials, all these different things that go into whatever you're purchasing. Longevity, and then you're making your purchase, your style. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that's how everything should be bought. Um, but I think everything's been skewed because we're looking. It's more so of buying things for uh, clout. It's clout now. You buy these things because they're gonna say something about you before you have to say it about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not in that game anymore. You know,
Yeah, absolutely not.
um,
It's expensive.
it's expensive, and the return is not all that great.
It's minimal, if that, if
Yeah,
at all.
it's not that great. I mean, the most you're gonna get is, man. I remember when you was dot dot dot. I remember when you had dot dot dot, because everything gets old.
Yeah.
Everything gets old. I mean, I remember we had a 2008 BMW in 2008. But if I still had that same BMW, they'd be like, man, you kind of fell off, So,
Yeah.
so it's one of the things where it takes so much to keep up, and um, I call it the perception cost. And I'm just not. I have a certain cap on my perception cost that I'm willing to pay,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't go over that cap. You know, I don't go over that cap because it's not worth it. The return is not worth it.
No, that makes sense. That make a lot of sense. But I feel like you have to go through certain things to even arrive at that point.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
Like I don't think that's something that's um naturally developed. I think you have to kind of experience some things, and then it's like, oh, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it's a long circle.
Yeah.
It's a long circle. I mean, you go through. I think the typical cycle is I need to wear everything that everyone likes, so they can know I'm the end person. And then you get to the point where it's like, I'm just gonna wear whatever I want. And he's like, I'm not gonna iron this anymore. And then
No.
he like, then he's like, man, I do probably clean myself up. Then you're like, okay, what I'm gonna wear? I'm gonna get, I'm gonna get, I'm gonna get 7 black shirts and 7 blue pair of pants and some black
If I
shoes.
could wear that every day, I would. I promise you. I'd
This is
wear
the
that every
cycle. This
day.
is part of the cycle. And then, I mean, this is my cycle. And then I'm like, you know what? I got a few key pieces. kind of trade up, I can maybe add something else. I can add some color. Like my color palette's usually been like blue, white, browns, greens, like everything that kind of matches up.
Mhm.
I can take this pair of pants, this shirt, this jacket, and it's gonna match these shoes, and it's decent. I only have to buy clothes like every 2 years or something until they actually, you know, their life cycle is gone. Um, but then you get to the cycle, it's like, well, maybe I can buy a jacket that I might not have to wear all the time, or some shoes, but it's still tight knit in that color palette
Mhm.
where you don't want to, you don't want to go too. I'm not going to buy like a rainbow jacket, a jacket with patches on it or something,
Well, nah, because you
like
only
a
gonna be
race
able to
car
wear
jacket or
like,
something,
yeah, you can only wear it once.
wear the old race car jackets,
Yeah, you
So
get one
yeah,
rock. That's
I'm
it.
wearing. Maybe that's why I don't take Instagram pictures. I'm like, I'm gonna have the same fit on, the same fit. Well, you want to see more pictures of me in different locations with this same jacket
The
on,
same.
and these same shoes. But
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just that's why I say I just want to get to the point where I can shop at Costco.
full circle.
Yeah, because then it's like it don't matter because everything else that I have, I get validation from everything else that I have.
And that's
Not,
that's the thing.
you know,
That's what you have to figure out. What's important is your validation coming from getting compliments on, I don't know, how you dressing or what type of clothes you have on, or is your validation only for you and it's based on your accomplishments that people maybe can't see. Like the old adage, like, I'm gonna get this certain car because people can't see you in your house, so I'm gonna buy this car so people can see me.
no, I mean I think that's definitely a thing for some people, 100%,
Yeah,
like 100%. Um, for me, is at this moment, no, like I just like cars,
yeah,
right? So it's the reason why I could shit on a car that I couldn't afford to buy, in the next 30 years, right?
hmm,
But I can still shit on it if it's a shitty car. I don't care
right,
if it
right,
costs $4 million.
yeah.
Um, I just like cars, you know.
That's the difference, though. Someone who likes cars and someone who wants a car to be liked. That's a different.
Yeah,
Those are two different people.
yeah,
That's a
you're
weird
right.
person.
But that's
That's a
everything though.
weird person.
I think if we weren't rewarded for it, then there would be no need for it. But
Right.
there's like a social exchange. Like you get there's some sort of social capital being exchanged in these moments because if you're able
Right.
to be seen, the people who use social media correctly, right, for brand deals and whatnot, they're
Hmm.
able to be seen by these things, and it benefits each other, them and the corporation equally,
Right.
right? So
Right.
they either get paid, either whether it be money, followers, or free stuff, right? So
Yeah.
it all kind of works out, but it's just
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
personally wouldn't like Louis Vuitton has a new jacket that has like a lobster on it. Like I would
Mhm.
never wear that. Like, I don't care if it's Louis Vuitton. Like, why
Right.
why would I wear a jacket with a lobster
You
on
want
it?
a crab roll jacket?
It's have you seen? I'm gonna show you. It's like a for real lobster, bro. Like on your shoulder, like just chilling.
Like a brooch,
Yeah,
a
like a
lobster
no, like
brooch.
a stuffed animal. It's sewed onto your jacket. Like you got to see. I'm gonna show you. You got to see it. But I
Yeah.
would never. I does. It's not about. I'm
Yeah.
not knocking somebody who would. It's just I've got maybe when I was 21, 22,
Hmm.
it was different because when you're that young, your perception of things is different. Your
Right.
understanding of value and validation is just different. At
Hmm.
30 plus, like I'm somebody's daddy. Like how's my
Hmm.
child gonna look back at me in 20 years? She's 21 and I got a lobster on my jacket. And I'm like, yeah, that was the style. Like you know what I
The
mean?
kid would
Like,
probably like it now. They'd be like, "Oh,
nah
dad got
man.
a stuffed toy on him.
Get that out of here,
He
man.
carry he
I don't
sews his
want
toys on his jacket for me."
speaking of lobster. I heard something funny today. Um, I think it was something that's been brewing for a while, but I think you get a kick out of it. Um, well, I saw an article about it today, so it brought up the memory again. But Tesla's actually going into the restaurant business, so they say.
Yeah, I'm just tired of them. I'm tired of their mess. I'm tired, I'm tired of all they mess.
Oh man, yeah. So
You sound like just
he's
a
filed the
disappointed grandfather.
he's filed the paperwork to go into the restaurant business.
Why,
So
why
what
would
do
you even
you?
go to a terrible business model that doesn't
I
make money?
think I think Elon is the perfect example of like the millennial entrepreneur, right? Where it's
Yeah.
more so about the brand of things versus the actual thing. So he knows that as long as he can add value to the Tesla brand, then
Mm-hmm.
he can continue to be, who he needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's for somebody else. I mean, I completely understand that. It's a lifestyle brand. Tesla's a lifestyle brand. It's not a profitable company that you want to invest in and hold on to. Well, maybe it might work, maybe it won't. It's not my type of thing, but I'm more conservative in my approach to certain things.
I mean, if it was if it was cheaper, I would own it at a different valuation. I wouldn't pay if I had $600 billion today. I wouldn't buy Tesla. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of companies you can buy for $600 billion, but I know
So
everybody doesn't.
what are they selling at this restaurant?
I don't
Tacos,
know. Probably Tesla tacos.
burritos,
You can charge your Tesla. You know,
charge your Tesla
I,
while you eat.
first of all, I hate all those guys. All those guys that like, I can charge my Tesla while I do the. And Teslas are nice cars. I don't have a problem with
Mm-hmm.
the cars. The company is a different thing, but I hate all those guys because they're like the Bitcoin guys. So it's like the
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin guys, and then like the EV guys, and like, oh, EV is gonna be big, so buy every EV company. But like
Mm-hmm.
the laws don't change until like 2035. So that's 14 years from now.
In
So
terms of
why
how
would it?
many electric vehicles that need to be on the road,
Well,
what's that law?
they'll
I'm
no
not
longer
familiar.
be able to manufacture like gas cars, combustion engines
Who's that coming down from?
from the government,
Mm, okay, the resale market about to be cracking.
basically. So,
People gonna be in at their home building their own car.
so no more combustion engines past like 2035 or something. It's all supposed to be electric, right?
Okay.
So that's where all this EV buzz comes from. Everybody's like, "Oh, buy it now because in 2035 it'll be ridiculous," right? But
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not going to pay 2035 prices today.
Right.
I wouldn't give LeBron James the MVP when he was 9 years old.
Mm.
You know, like,
Right.
he's not even
With
in the league yet.
the argument that buying electric vehicles is better for the environment. It's actually better for the environment if we stop manufacturing more things, including electric vehicles. If you kept your old same car and did the modifications you needed to that car, we'll probably fare out a lot better with our emissions. Um, but that's not something you can say in a capitalist country.
Well, no,
We
I
should try
mean,
to start. We should do just stop buying things, stop manufacturing more things.
well, we have to manufacture, but they have to find better ways to do it. But
That's for
the
the argument that this is only for the environment, because that's
well,
the bigger
I
picture.
I believe they actually put out more carbon dioxide than like current vehicles.
Because there's still electric. There's still electric grid.
Yeah. So
So we have
I think it's actually worse.
you
But
have to you have to build more electrical grids for all these electric cars. How do
listen,
people
man, I
think
don't know nothing.
electricity work?
I I don't know shit. Okay. I'm just saying.
Well, I
I'm
understand that oil and gas is not renewable. It's it'll be finite. Like it will run out. I
mhm.
get that.
Unless we get hit by an asteroid or something.
If we're lucky, if we're lucky,
Yeah, so that's I don't know. I feel like they have poor profit margins now, and then I'm anytime something like this happens, I'm like, where is he going to get the money? So I think what's ultimately going to happen soon is he will unveil a new car
Mm-hmm.
and take deposits.
I'm not buying another car until it's fully depreciated. I'm gonna wait till 2035, and you can go give me the 2010. Give me the 2020 version.
I think that's what he's going to do. Because how else would you like where they only have $600 million? You're not going to start a restaurant chain. I think his brother is in the restaurant field or whatever, but you're not going to start this massive restaurant chain with
Mm-hmm.
that includes Tesla chargers for $600 million.
What if this was just a way to wash the money?
It could be. I don't know, but you know,
Now we don't
it's
think in terms of people like could be frauding on a high level, and I'm not saying they are. I'm not like starting any rumors, but I'm just saying, like, if somebody was starting all these random businesses to funnel money through or to raise funds, people will raise eyebrows.
I mean, you could
But it's a
definitely
lifestyle break and
funnel
get away with it.
you could funnel losses through other businesses 100%. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a thing. um I'm sure it happens. You would hope that on that level it doesn't, because they have SEC auditors and all that kind of stuff, but you never know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
just think I think it's just a brand thing, and ultimately there will be a point where that won't matter anymore.
Oh, get
You
ready to
know,
put your deposit on your Tesla hang glider, whatever else he come out
I
with.
would not. It's funny,
Electric
but like,
powered hang glider.
listen, it's funny. We're joking about it, but low key, it might be that. It might be a
It could be
electric
anything.
powered hang glider.
Electric powered suit, like it gets
Because
powered up while you walking
where else
around.
where
You
else
can
is he
charge your
gonna get the
phone.
money? Like where else would he get the money? If you only have $600 million left after all expenses, you have to reinvest in your current company, which is Tesla, that's already capital intensive,
Mm-hmm.
and start a restaurant business. Like
Yeah, at this
I
point, you just
just
slap the logo on anything. Just slap it on anything, and the
I
fan
hate feeling like
fanboys
this,
gonna
man.
come.
I wish I was able to just not know all this information and just live life, because
Well,
life is fun that way.
well,
like,
I think when you just
like
I think when you chop it up to like, oh, okay, here come the bullshit. I think you're okay because there's no way to solve it. You kind of know what's coming,
but
so it's
people
just
don't
like,
want to know. People don't want to know. You can tell them it doesn't matter. They don't want to know what's coming. It's a brand thing. It's
yeah.
just, oh well, yeah, Tesla's $2,000 stock. Well,
So
why?
if somebody woke up tomorrow and said, "This guy on this Rich by Money podcast is right. I'm no longer investing." Would that be the result that makes you like, "Oh, life is good today"?
No, I don't want, because I could be wrong. I'm just saying I'm willing to be wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not. I My big thing is understanding. I have a problem with understanding things. I need to
Mm-hmm.
understand.
Right.
So when something comes up, or when we discover some information, or there's something going on, I do what I can to try and understand it. And if I can't
I think the
understand it,
thing
then
is
that's
you're not enjoying the wave like everyone else is enjoying it, and you're like,
no, but I want to, because they're having so much fun, right? They're having
you're not
so much
enjoying the
fun.
wave.
Like I seen a dude earlier, like and it made me think, like, man, I just wish I wish I didn't have a heart, so I can charge people $5,000 for some shit that I learned yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But I seen a dude who's so Vita has an event space business
Mm-hmm.
that she runs on her
Mm-hmm.
own. I work for her in that
Right.
business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see somebody who's like an event space guru, and it's like, how, bro? Like you tell, what are you talking?
Everyone in the industry looking around like, we don't know
What are
this
you
person.
talking about? Like, it'd be different if you were well known in the community and you had the support of the community. Then you can make all the money in the world because
Mm-hmm.
people can vouch for you, right? But the way it's being put out there is like everything he's saying just doesn't even make sense. But I know it doesn't make sense because I live with a person who runs an event company.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it makes me feel bad. This is why I say we're just the bad thing is that we're the same age as the people who are going through this. That's
Mm-hmm.
the problem. Because now I know it's our peers who are getting this information, and I know it's our peers because I'm part of the marketing, the targeted marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't get involved in that if these weren't my peers.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of social media, that's how the ads work, right?
Yeah, in
19 to
terms of age.
34. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I want to have fun with them too. They be having fun. And I'm like, but this like I can't
No,
because it
that's not the
doesn't
type of fun you want to have.
it ain't, but sometimes it look fun, man. I ain't gonna lie.
The internet in general looks fun. The internet looks fun. Everything's happy on here. Everyone's doing
Man,
well. Everything is
I'm
great.
like, and I really think I'm not talking about internet guys no more. But I will say this: I really think I
Let's talk about this,
really
but I got something to say.
I really think that they're playing the game of let me do this and see if somebody actually pays for it.
Actually, what? You cut
Actually
out.
pays for it.
Oh,
Like let me
yeah.
charge $49.97 and see if I get a sale.
Yeah.
Because the sale validates the price.
It's just throwing things on the board, like just throwing darts just to see what hits. Because sometimes you'll see people, spending like sizable money, size amount of money on ads and then sponsorships, and you don't see it anymore. So they tried hard as they can to cast a wide net, capture all the people they can, so they can funnel them to death until they buy or buy into. So yeah, I'm not talking about it. And I done followed a lot of people because in my time of trying to really learn the internet, that type of internet, I was like, I get it now. And then I promptly unfollowed and moved on with my life
Yeah.
because I understood that. Okay, I understand what this is now. And um, now my response is, if someone's going to ask me about X, Y, and Z, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But this is what we doing. This is what we do over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the easiest way to handle those type of things. I don't understand what's going on over there, but this is how we do things over here. In a
I'm, I'll,
sense,
I'll, I'll, I'll adapt that.
because what's going on is you're putting too much effort and brain power into something that's not real. It's like we need to focus on what's going on over here. you know, it's like I'm worried about how you didn't brush your teeth, and I got to brush my teeth. You know, it's like man, they breath stink. It's like, did I brush my
What?
teeth? I didn't brush my teeth this morning. So you
Yeah,
gotta
I mean,
you gotta focus on your grooming
no, I get it.
or
I,
your
I,
building.
I get it. It's just that's
But
just not
yeah,
how my brain works. But yeah, it's I'm not.
then you got then
I'm
you gotta
not
block
gonna.
it.
Yeah, I'm over it. It's just funny. That's all. Like when I see it, it's funny because I do the majority of the expenses for the
Mm-hmm.
business, and then so it's just when you hear that things that are wrong, it's just hard for me to ignore that. That's all.
Yeah,
But
man, the block button is a blessing and a tool. It
but I
needs
feel
to
bad
be
because I don't
used a
know them.
lot.
It's like I don't even know you, and I'm blocking you. Like how does that
That's
work?
perfect. Yeah, it's good. Um, we do it all the time in our daily lives. We'll see something and just look the other way.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's a lot of that in the city.
Yeah, yeah, I guess.
You drive, you
I
go on my
guess
street,
you're
you be like,
right.
ew. You're like, ew, I'm looking this
Yeah,
way.
yeah, I guess you're right. You know
And
what's
the
funny
internet,
too?
like you gotta sanitize your internet because it's a lot of it's a lot of unhoused on the internet, unsightly things you don't want to see. And sometimes you got to turn away. And I don't
Yeah,
have the time, and it's not my ministry, which I'm learning too. that's a church term for church, church folk out there. It's not your ministry,
That's funny,
That's not my group. I don't know.
man. Tyrone, Tyrone called me the other day, and shout out
Shout out
Tyrone.
Tyrone.
And he was like, he said, "Man, what y'all be talking about is for real." I said, "What do you mean, Tyrone?" He said, "Man, well, for those of y'all who don't know who Tyrone is a good friend of ours, who's a car hauler. He's an over the road driver, right? He drives trucks, but he hauls exotic cars, right? So usually when Tyrone has like a very specific type of car, he'll FaceTime me to let me see it. So he FaceTimed me in this instance because he was picking up a Cullinan, the Rolls Royce SUV.
Mm-hmm.
So so he says, "Man, I'm sitting in this car, man, blah blah blah." Because for the longest time, we just to give you guys backstory, we argued about it because he hated the car. I went to the unveiling. I got invited by Rolls Royce. I don't know how,
Yeah,
but I got
no.
invited by Rolls Royce to go to the
Flex,
unveiling.
flex, 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 flex,
So I ain't nobody, but I got invited.
flex, flex, flex.
Uh, of the I think it was the Cullinan event, but they had just unveiled the new Phantom, right? So it was the new Phantom 8 and then the
Mm-hmm.
Cullinan. Um, so I got to go see the car, get hands on with it, sit in it, play around with it, push all the buttons, all that kind of stuff. So he hated the car. So when he saw the car in person, when he picked one up, his whole mind changed. Right? He was like, "I love this car," blah blah blah. So he called me though because he's like, "I'm sitting in this car, man. This Cullinan is dope.
Mm-hmm.
The interior is nice, man. Look at the wood. Like, he's how Tyrone is. He's going off."
Right.
So, and he's like, "And guess what?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Man, this car is actually repossessed."
Mm.
And he was like, so he was going through the glove box and the center console, and he was like, "I'm taking everything because it's a repo." Right? So he's like, "You don't need these Altoids, you don't need nothing. This is all coming with me." Um,
You don't
but
need
he
these
was like, "Man,"
Altoids.
he's like, "Man, what you be saying is for real. Like, people really be getting their cars repo." I'm like, "Yes."
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
Yeah.
"What you guys talk about on the podcast?" Yes. Like,
Yeah.
it's not hard to get this stuff. They'll get, and he said that this was the third car that this company repoed from him.
Mm. Man, and payments they pile up.
Like, if you don't, it's not hard to get these things. They'll give them to anybody. Like,
Yeah.
they'll
You
give them
can
to
get it.
you.
You can get
And
it.
he was really tripping out, like just on the fact that because he was like he was in the line of thinking of when you get to this level, these types of things don't happen.
Mm.
And I was telling him like, no, you don't understand. The person who this car was probably repoed from was on your level.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was probably lower.
Yeah. See, people misconstrue the ability to get something with the ability to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are two different things that need to happen like simultaneous. Like the maintaining of an object that you bring into your household, that's where it gets you. Like if you're not able to maintain whatever you bought or whatever you possess, that's what eats you up and you end up losing and getting your stuff repossessed. So whatever you purchasing, it's not so much being having the ability to get into it or bring it home. It's about maintaining it over its whole life cycle,
Mm-hmm.
right? However long you're going to have it, rather it's a lease or you bought it. If you bought it, I mean, the life cycle is as long as you own it. So that's maintained it for the rest of his life, right? And everything we own is constantly trying to break down into dust. Everything, everything. So it's going to cost more money to maintain. So that's what I think about now when I purchase things about maintain them over their whole life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people don't think that way. They think I'm hoping I can go to this car lot. I hope my credit's decent enough where I can drive away with this XYZ car.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh, I can put down what you need. Oh, you need 1,000, 2,000. Okay, I can get that. 3,000. Okay, I can get that together. I'll do that. What's the payments? Okay, I can manage that. No one's thinking about the tires you're gonna have to put on it, the registration, the cleaning of the vehicle, car wash, um, all these different things. If you get a ding, you got to fix it because you don't want it. You don't want to look
Yeah, you can't
stupid.
be riding around like
You know what
that.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
They like, okay. I mean, I judge people on bald tires. That's my judgment. Like, that's my dark judgment. I'm just come out here and say it right now. I don't care what car you drive. If your tires are bald, I am judging you. It's a me thing. Like I'm the look, I accept everybody for everything, but I'm looking at the maintenance of your vehicle. I don't care what it is. If your car is clean and you got some tires, some tread on it, I'm like, this person, he gets it. He or she gets
Hmm.
it. But if you roll with them bald tires and you got duct tape holding up your bumper and it's not clean, if your car can be clean with rubber on your tires, I'm like, you know what? This person's maintaining their life the best they can. You know, if I
That
see
makes
your new
sense.
car and you got bald tires and all tires are they all different brands and you rolling down to the local tire shop and putting a $20 $40 tire on your rim when the tire go out. Like I'm judging you. I'm judging you for that. There's no way you got a 80,000 car and you buying a $40 tire from the tire man. And
Yeah, that's
and I
that's
get
not where you
that.
take the discount. Yeah.
Like I've been there, but you're there with different vehicles that you maintain in matches. So I mean that's my dirty secret. That's where I'm judging. That's
Man,
really the main thing I'm judging on.
I
That's the
mean,
maintenance. The maintenance kills you.
the car game itself is crazy right now. Like I went to I went to the dealer to go get the car serviced, and this is the second time I've been there since we had the car. And the
Mm-hmm.
first time I went, it was it was dead. It was like Death Valley. All right, no
Mm-hmm.
salesman, no nothing. Right.
Wow.
So I go this time, and it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
They're selling cars every 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They're ringing the bell every 3 minutes. Sales floor is packed.
They must have
Five
got some more
salesmen.
some more vehicles
Well,
finally.
no, they don't have vehicles, but people want to buy.
Mm.
Right. So they're able to sell. And I was at the Kia dealer, so I'm a big Kia fan. I know everybody's gonna feel indifferent about it, but I'm a big Kia fan. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Kia is uh, in terms of value for what you're getting in a new car, you would be paying double, right? So,
Yeah.
um, so people come and trade in their Range Rovers for Kia SUVs,
Mm-hmm.
and Kia SUVs sell for $8,000 to $12,000 over sticker. So this is a car that's
Wow.
$38,000 that sells for 50 grand,
That's crazy.
right? Because that's the demand. Like these people
Mm-hmm.
come here, they pull up in their $120,000 range that's now worth 45,000, and they jump in a Kia Telluride, and it has all the new technology that their Range Rover doesn't have, and they don't want to go
Right.
spend another 150 grand,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So cool, give me this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it was crazy, like just the amount of people that were there, and like five different salesmen approached me, and all of them, I guess, could tell like I'm not here for that today.
Mm-hmm.
But the last one got me in his office only because the way he was talking to me, it was
It
almost like he
was them
called.
pointy shoes. The pointy
His,
shoes guys. He's like, man, I gotta go.
he was
You
well,
convinced me.
he was like, he was like, what car do you drive? How many miles you got? Because they always want to buy your car. And he's like, how much you pay? And then I told him, and he was like, he looked at me and he's like, how'd you get that deal? And he was like, are you in the car business? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
nah. And he was like, so how'd you get it? And I'm like, well, I got a friend of mine who put it all together for me. And then he's like, well, is he in the car business?
Right.
And I was like, you could say that. And he's like, all right, well, come to my office. So I'm telling him what I want. Of course, the car I want, there's none
No
available in the
inventory.
country.
Right.
There's none. So and the payment was like another $200 or $300 more, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, he got the hint. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna, like, you're obviously somebody who knows how to shop for a car. I'm not gonna
It's like
bother
there's
you.
no deal here.
Yeah, but it was just interesting to be in that environment and to see people excited. Right, they're
Mm-hmm.
excited. They're ringing the bell. Everybody's screaming and yelling. The salesmen are all happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it
Yeah,
was
they
a weird
eating.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, they
it was a weird
eating.
thing. But uh,
I would like to know the psychology behind people buying cars in a time where you shouldn't be buying cars. And
yeah. But who's the? I think that it comes down to like who's to say it's not. I mean, I would never just finance a brand new car, but
mm,
who's to say it's not the time?
I would just like to know. I would like to know the numbers or the data based on people who bought cars because they wanted a new car. From my perspective, I mean, I'm huge on utility. If your car works, why are you not just driving that car? But it works fine. It turns, it gets you to A to B. Why you not driving that car? So I would just like to know the percentage of people who just bought cars during this time because they just wanted cars. Because there is some type of psychology in buying new things to feel something, right? To have that dopamine hit. You get the same when you go to, I don't know, whatever you shop for. If you go into Target and it's like, I was going in there to get washing powder, and now you got a $300 bill. So it's some type of dopamine hit when you buy something, or the same when you order something on
Hmm.
Amazon. It's almost like getting it twice. You get to buy it, and then all of a sudden it shows up surprisingly. You're like, oh, it's like a gift to yourself. It's already wrapped in everything, and that's a dopamine hit in itself. So I just like to
I
know
think
the
being at
psychology.
home, I think being at home kind of allowed people the space to feel like to think that they need that.
Or I deserve it. Like I'm not
Yeah,
having went anywhere. I haven't went out to eat. It's like I deserve to buy this thing, and it's gonna make me feel good for at least the 15 minutes I'm holding it.
it's gonna feel good until you actually get in it and leave. Because
Yeah,
when you finance a car, like a loan, when you get a loan for a car, as soon as you leave the lot, you realize that you have a ton more payments to make on this car. That's
yeah.
going to cost you double of what it already is.
A
Like,
year go by, and you're like, man, I got how many years left?
man, when I
Four more years left.
the first car I financed, everything was cool until I left.
Yeah.
When I left and I realized I gave this person, I mean, I was young, but so I gave this person all my money and I still got to pay for it next month.
You're right.
It makes no sense,
The
right?
last car
But
we financed was actually right before the pandemic, and I had broke. This is really what the car business, they really do well when your car breaks at the time it didn't need to break. And you like, you know what? Forget all this. I'm gonna give me a new car and I'm not gonna deal with this anymore. And we had one of those breaking moments. I think Jazz was driving her car on the freeway with the baby, and um, it just starts spilling transmission fluid all out on the road, and the car stops on the road. So I'm like, okay, they in the car with the baby on the road on the freeway.
mhm.
And she's just not freaking out. She's like, okay, calling AAA. This was happening. Da, da, da. I'm like, we're gonna get you a new car. We ain't gonna deal with this no more. She had a new job coming up. She's gonna do, doing a lot of traveling. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna
Mhm.
get you a new car. Well, it's gonna be at least 2 years old because I'm not gonna pay the full depreciate. I want to depreciate a little
I
bit.
wouldn't either, unless yeah, I wouldn't either. No.
But we ended up buying a car, and we ended up having a car for maybe about a year. And then once I almost said depression. Once the pandemic hit, I was like, you ain't going to work no more. This is just a bill now. So we end up giving that car back. Um,
You said take this shit back.
I was like, yo, man, you did like, yo, you can have this car. And we had a really good interest. It was 2 years, 2 years old. I think the interest rate was like 3.5, but we financed, no, 3.4, something like
Mhm.
that. We financed it, didn't put no money down, nothing like that. So we end up giving it back and paying like the difference. It was like a few $1,000s or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
to be, clean of it. But yeah, you have those cracking moments where it's like, I think that's how most people buy cars when they need reliable transportation. When I could have easily just took that car to the shop and got it paid and got it fixed, and they back on the road again. You know.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
mean, I understand both sides.
yeah, for
I
sure.
would I would never I would never finance a new car, but I would lease one if the deal was right.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because from that perspective, you know, at least with a lease, you know exactly what you're paying for. Like,
yeah.
you know, and and the dealer knows. The dealer already
Mm-hmm.
knows how much value the car is going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, we know it's going to lose 40% of its value. So we'll only finance 40% of its value and you pay that. I'm fine
Yeah,
with that because that's just
yeah,
the amount of money that was lost for me using the vehicle
yeah. And I didn't
versus
know how it worked until you ran that down to me. And I was like, that makes sense
it makes a lot
for
of
somebody
sense.
who wants to um, just pay for the depreciation that goes on in the vehicle. I mean, that makes sense.
Because
I'm gonna
well,
hold it for 2 years.
if you finance a new car, it's what you're paying for, right? Like if I
Yeah,
go finance a $40,000 car today, I'm financing the cost of $40,000, but in 3 years, they already know the residual value is like 51%.
right,
So it's
right.
worth 20 as soon as you leave,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's worth 20. The value of the car is 20 grand. I'm paying 40. I'm financing 40, which means I'm probably paying 60 in total over the life of my loan. So
Right.
I'm
The
paying
interest.
$60,000 for a car that's worth $20,000 today. That makes no sense. That
Mm-hmm.
makes 0 sense at all.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So when they
that's
break
the
down the
game, though.
lease, it is. When they break down the lease, it's like, well, my lease is only if it's a $40,000 car and my lease is only 18 grand. I'll do that. I'll finance $18,000 over 2 years or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing.
I think it also depends on how people hold vehicles and how long they keep them. Um, most people are if some people are buying cars every 4 to 5 years, like my mother, she's always been in a new car. It's usually been like every 4 to 5 years. Like she would have
Mm-hmm.
been a perfect lease candidate. It's like
Absolutely.
like you're not gonna want this car in 4 years, 5 years. Just lease a new car every year. It's like every year, just lease a new car. But so candidates like that is like, yeah, go and lease a car. But a person who's gonna keep their car forever, like me, if I'm if I'm buy something that's very reliable, like I really want a Toyota. Um, if I was to buy that, I would keep it forever and just drive my old rusty truck everywhere.
I
But
get that too. I
that's a
get that too.
different buyer, though, a different type of
Yeah.
buyer, right? If I'm really into, really playing up the perception and have been wanting to be in a new car every 2 years, I would lease it, right? 2 or 3 years, I would lease the car. People was like, oh, he's in a new BMW all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would lease it. Like he
I
always got
mean,
the new BMW.
for me, it's not even like the idea of perception doesn't just for me. It doesn't really play into it. It's more so like the cost, right? So
Yeah,
if you're gonna spend the same amount of money, right? So if I go buy a used car like a used Toyota truck and it cost me 6 grand, and then the total value of my lease is $6,000 over 3 years, it's the same money. It's just I have a newer car,
hmm
right? So
yeah. See
if there's
that
any
that's
major
putting the
problems, then I just take it to them. They fix it.
that those two scenarios are two different buyers, though.
No, they are. I'm just saying how, from my
Yeah,
perspective, the idea of perception doesn't really play into it. It's more so just if I'm
yeah,
gonna spend 6 grand, I want the newest thing.
right, right. I get that.
You know.
That's a different purchaser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I get that.
But the money's the same. Like it's the same either way. That's just what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so
we're gonna
interesting because the
yeah
transportation is the same. Like you're literally just getting A to B.
yeah.
No one's doing any more fly shit in their car. I don't care how much it is. Like no one's doing like if you think about that, no one's doing like anything extraordinary in their car, no matter what the cost of it is.
Well, they yeah. I mean, in like the overall concept, no, it's all the same. But
everyone's getting down, sitting down behind a wheel, pushing the pedal, and going from A to B. And it's so interesting that A to B costs different. It's different costs for everyone.
Yeah, it is. It definitely
That's
is.
why I have to say, I have to put the perception in there, or the the person that really enjoys that type of vehicle. That's a whole other person too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you experience certain things, it's hard to come back from that.
Yeah, the experience is different too. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's very very hard to
Yeah.
like when you get in a Rolls Royce SUV and you see the wood is actual wood, like it looks like somebody went and chopped it off a tree and just slapped it on the
Like a
car.
tree bark, right?
Yeah, like in the leather and all the little small
Mm-hmm.
details, and the ride and the air suspension, like all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Yeah, it's
experience
different.
certain things, it's different.
It's different. Well,
It's
I for sure don't want to jump back into my '87 Buick Regal. It was at a time where I didn't want to drive it anymore, and it sat in the driveway. So I get like you can get tired of a certain experience or get used to it,
mm-hmm.
and be like, I don't want to go back in that car.
Man,
This
the air
car got like
conditioning
air AC hitting.
yeah, like
AC hitting this new vehicle. Like, man, I'm cold. I actually turned down a little bit.
yeah. So last week, right? Because we kind of just uh rapping at this point, but last week we talked about the Crenshaw Mall situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to be honest, I didn't do much research,
Yeah, I did nothing.
but um, which is
Watch these
a theme
opinions
here.
fly.
Yeah, like, it's just a theme here of we say things with no research. So I did kind of quickly glance at stuff before we started just to kind of get caught up on it because it is something that I want to talk about. But so to to bring everything back full circle, it was a situation where the mall was I think there was a bid for the mall at a certain point in time at one point, and a community group came in and blocked that sale
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, right? This is at the height of the which is our it's so funny because this is at the height of like the stop gentrification, and it's on the news and it's on billboards, but
Mm-hmm.
that's also the time of the election,
Mm.
the mayoral elections for the for the mayor, and which is very interesting because if you look at court documents, specifically in Inglewood, which I think we talked about before, but James Dolan, who owns the Knicks, paid
Mm-hmm.
for a bunch of billboards, a bunch of gentrification billboards all around South LA to
Mm.
stop the new arena from being built because he owns Madison Square Garden, right?
Okay. So he has his own
Yeah, so
undercover reasons.
he was paying for a lot. He it was discovered that they funded a group that didn't exist, but a community group that didn't exist that was suing the city.
Mm-hmm.
That money came from him. So
Sneaky.
he doesn't care about what's actually going on. He just didn't want the current mayor to get reelected because he knew they would have a better chance of not only building the stadium, but also the Clipper Arena getting through.
Mm.
So he tried to have his own candidate. His name was like Mark Little or something like that. And then he paid for a bunch of billboards and advertisements, using gentrification to put the mayor, the current sitting mayor, in a tight spot.
Mm. So
You
that
know,
was the gentrification billboards was
all that came
funded
from
by
him.
him.
This is all court documents. It all came from him.
Crazy.
So no, this is not an effort. But of course, nobody's going to look at that and say, "Oh, well, I wonder who." No,
Who
it's just
paid for this?
yeah.
Who paid for this? You start
So
falling the money, man.
yeah,
You bump into answers quick.
That's why I be saying like a lot of this shit ain't real, like the way people think it is. But so there was a group. There was actually like a group that would get named as like some type of activist group out here that didn't exist. They were funded by him.
Mm. So
They
they
were
just
just like
reference in the article and like, oh,
yes,
such an XYZ, they really don't like this.
yes.
And
It'd be
they're
like it'd be like
Twitter's
you
going
know,
up. Social media is
yes.
just like, oh man.
And it was them. All it was them assigning a person who issued some type of, you know, communication
Mm-hmm.
to
Press release.
press release or whatever, and it got picked up because of the topic. And then
Mm.
he made it hot, right? He made the streets hot by putting up all these billboards and all these other things.
So people
Because
can take
now,
pictures of them, put them
yes,
in their put them on social.
because now it looks like the mayor, the current mayor, is selling the city out, right,
Mm-hmm.
to gentrifiers.
Mm.
That was his whole goal,
That's some high
right?
level. That's some high level conversation starter. I want people to talk about this. Think about that. What do I want people to what do I want people to talk about? And what do I
Yeah.
need to do to make that happen?
Mm-hmm.
And they be thinking different.
Of course they
They
do. That's why they're wealthy.
they plan at a different level.
That's why.
What are people talking about now? What do I want them to talk about?
Yes.
And how do we do it?
They knew. That's why I always say, in order to win a war, you have to understand both sides. He understood the pain points,
Mm-hmm.
right, and he knew how to address them. Now the candidate that he put in front of everybody was terrible, but he had that's the only thing. That's the only misstep in the whole
Mm-hmm.
like the whole process. That
If
is
he had
the only
a real
misstep.
good secret agent,
Yeah,
it probably would have pulled it off.
absolutely, because they had everything else, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't limited to Inglewood, right? It was all over L.A. There was a big one on Crenshaw and Slauson, not Crenshaw,
Mm-hmm.
La Brea and Slauson,
Yeah, I remember that one.
right? That's him, bro. That was him.
Mm-hmm.
That was James Dolan, the owner of the New York Knicks.
That's crazy. Man,
So,
you gonna have them boys after us now. I don't know
man, I don't care. So
why'd you
what?
release that here.
Man, listen, I will slap James Dolan. Okay. Like, they edit that out.
Right? That's was it Mortif? I can't even say the word.
Oh man, I
No,
gotta edit that.
okay.
I didn't say that. I didn't mean that.
Um,
Yeah. So I mean, Charles Oakley already
not
slapped him. It don't
physically,
matter. Yeah, it don't even matter.
not physical
It's
violence.
it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard not to think that when you've already seen a person get
Slap you
slapped.
with
Yeah,
bars. Slap
like
you with verbal bars.
uh,
Rap battle. Now,
so
me and you, James Dolan.
so I brought that up though because all that contributes to the temperament of the surrounding cities,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when this bid came up for the Crenshaw Mall, of course, people nearby who are actually wealthier than people in Inglewood, because this is Baldwin Hills, View Park, you know, that area, those are the wealthy black people, right? Um, so they want to keep the building the same in fears of pushing out long-term businesses, or the, you know, businesses that have been there forever, businesses that belong to people of color, you know,
Mm-hmm.
changing the identity of the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow they blocked the first initial bid. I can't remember exactly what happened, but they did it. Then there was another group from New York, I believe, that put in a bid for like 130 million,
Mm-hmm.
and they were able to. I think they were able to squash that bid as well, because one of the partners was tied to Donald Trump somehow, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it politically, it was just a terrible
Not gonna happen.
situation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they've raised $28 million, and they've, from my understanding, they've submitted some type of offer or bid, but they're saying that the bank, who I guess owns the property, Deutsche
Mm-hmm.
Bank, is ignoring their bids.
Okay.
So they're going to issue a press release demanding that the bank accepts their bid,
Mm, that's an interesting way
or they
to.
did already. I don't know how to. I don't know the timeline, but I think that's what's essentially what's going on.
Right. It's a new way to buy real estate. I'm, I'm sure that tactics have been used before. I'm sure it's been used before in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm interested in this building, and you're gonna sell it to me. I'm gonna break your legs. There's
Well,
been a lot of deals that
apparently,
happen like that.
apparently they set a record for the amount of money that they've raised.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got like 28 million in, because these are all donations.
Mm-hmm.
So they got 28 million in donations, with another like 6 million in basically letters of intent, to
To invest.
to yeah.
Huh.
But even that's $32 million. So if there was $130 million bid, and you know, I mean, that it's only $30 million in on $130 million project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, what bank would take that?
Yeah. Was that? That's not even 20, 10%?
Nah,
Not even 10%.
it's
A little bit.
no,
I don't know.
it's
I can't math right now.
no, me neither. I've been drinking his whiskey.
I'm not gonna math right now. But
Um,
hmm. I like to see how that plays out. I like to see how that plays out. I mean, there's been a long history of bully buying real estate.
I mean, I'm not mad if they pull it off, just because historically, that's that's a tactic that people have used forever. I mean, there's redlining for a reason, like redlining and blockbusting. Like, if they pulled it
Right.
off, like, that's cool. My whole thing
Right.
is like, just trying to understand like what the overall plan is, or is it just
Mm-hmm.
like, let's just keep it? I don't want you to keep it and then fumble it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Maybe. Well,
maybe we should go to the meetings. We
right.
we
He's at home. Like, what they doing over here? I'm not gonna take so much time to try to figure this out, but I'm just like, hey, you, what you doing over there?
Yeah, maybe we should go. I might sneak in back. I might backdoor one of the meetings,
Yeah.
uh,
Tell us how it go. I ain't going.
just to see what's going on, because it's interesting. It's interesting that. And matter of fact, I think because we talked about it last week, and when I was talking to Joey, he mentioned it, and I was like, yeah. He was like, it's interesting how we have the money for something like that so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you'd be surprised how often that happens. It's just there's no need to put it out there because nobody can make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I had like the same lady I always talk about, her grandson bought a house in View Park, and it was at auction.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a loan from a bank that was they had already he had already been locked in for that loan.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason at the last second they reneged on his loan.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Yeah, I remember
needed
you saying that.
yeah, they needed like $900, 900,000 in a matter of like 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
and they pulled it off.
Yep.
She called around and was like, I need, blah blah blah. I need this. I need this. I'm good for it. And they raised 900 grand, pretty much
Mm-hmm.
$1 million in 3 days.
Yep.
And he closed on the home. He did his work. He
Yeah.
flipped it. Everybody got paid back.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's
Yep. Flip be done. You can refinance it if you have the income. Yeah, the money's there. The money's there. If you ask for it, and you can pull it off.
mm-hmm.
Like, the money will always be there. So that's why I have to assume that there's a decent plan set out for that Crenshaw project. Um, I just don't know it because I've done no zero research
Yeah,
and I've been to no meetings. So we'll be talking about this again next week, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to sneak in to
I have
if
no
they have
no
any more. I'm gonna try to sneak in. I
right.
say sneak in like I'm not gonna fit in, but
Right.
as a person, being in these environments, it's uncomfortable for me because it gets hectic. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember being in a city council meeting in Inglewood when they were voting on their local rent control bill,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like packed. Like they
Mm-hmm.
had to put people in different rooms. They had monitors showing what was happening in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was not a pleasant place to be
Yeah, I
at
can
all,
imagine. There's a lot of different people feeling a lot of different ways
man. And
in
then
one enclosed space.
you have clients here who are getting up to try and speak their piece to the mayor and explaining what they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, it's not that we don't want to raising rents isn't a problem. We don't raise rents anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the mayor is like, I don't care. And then they bring up people from, you know, people who were there, and they're like, well, rent should be free.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody
Yeah,
screams,
the
like, yes.
yeah, the spectrum is so crazy. I know there's some people in the middle there, like, hey, I mean, I like free rent. I mean, I don't mind paying, but if that free
It's
rent come
just,
down the pipeline,
man, when it's
I'm gonna
like,
take that too.
because these rooms only fit like 50 people.
Right.
So when you have, you know what I'm saying? So when you
And
have like
hundreds of
eight
people show
owners,
up.
yeah,
That's surprising. That
you got
hundreds of
people
people
all
showed it
along.
for free rent. That's you telling
It
me?
was it was hundreds.
Yeah.
It was like being in a room. It was like when we were younger and you go to a party and then you don't realize that you in the wrong party.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that.
You're like, I ain't supposed to be here.
Yeah, like you might have a certain color on or a certain hat, and you
Mm-hmm.
start hearing certain things, and you're like, wait a minute, this
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
I
I've
need
been
to
in that
yeah.
situation way too many times.
It's like I need to kind of play this low key so I can get out of here alive.
Yeah. I
But
walked into a function, a house party with the gang members hat on.
yeah,
I'm
you was
like,
wild
I
for
just
that.
like the team. I
Yeah,
don't know. Like,
that
yo,
is
you
hella,
too far from where you're supposed to be gang banging.
that is a whole sketch.
If you hear
That is
anyway.
that is a whole sketch
Yeah, them
on
years
on
were sketchy.
somebody's TV show.
Yeah.
But
We could do that. Actually, we can do it now. We cut this part and then we actually say the actual story and then send it to an animator. Put it on our YouTube. And that's a new thing we're doing. You just pop that up right now.
you know what I was thinking? I said I wasn't gonna talk about the internet guys no more. But I'm not. But what I was thinking was I'm gonna buy a Lamborghini.
Mhm.
I'm buy one.
That's not new to me.
And Amazon has like the cinema money that you can buy. So I'm gonna
No, I'm
buy
not
some.
familiar.
Yeah,
What
like
is
this,
that?
like the money they use in movies,
Mm-hmm.
like fake money that looks real,
Oh,
but it
okay.
says like for movie use or whatever on it.
Uh,
So I'm a buy. I guess it'd be cheaper to rent one than just to go out.
right. You already scamming wrong.
I'm trying to do things correctly.
You scamming
Um,
bad, man. You can open your Turo app.
well, I can't help it because I'm thinking about it like, well, the car community is small. So if I
Mhm.
pop up with a certain car and people in the community will know that either it's a rental or it's not mine, and
Mhm.
therefore it completely invalidates my advertisement.
Yeah,
But those aren't my target audience anyway. So
yeah,
low key, it don't
you
matter.
can't be in both groups and be
Yeah, you're
fully
right.
accepted. Like you either go full hustle group or you go into real community group.
I'm gonna do it.
You can't do both.
No matter of fact, we gonna do it. I'm dragging you in this. So
I mean, I
it's
ride a
like
Lamborghini. You know,
it's like $10 for
I'm not
like
paying the
a
maintenance on
hundred
it.
a 100,000 in fake money. So I'm gonna buy like a whole pallet of fake
ten
money. You're right.
dollars
It's like $10,
is
right?
$10.
$10. Go on Amazon and look. It's like 10. It's like $10, like 10.99.
That's affordable. That's some affordable fake
Like,
money.
we over here we scamming like on an affordable basis. So
Right. I mean, you couple that with the fake bags you say you can get, the fake Louis bags you can get online.
that's what I'm
Oh man,
saying.
we can really
Yo,
pull this off.
I'm telling you, I'm finna buy a whole pallet of fake
Somebody
money.
gonna buy something for 97.
No,
It's gonna end with a 7. Somebody gonna buy something for us.
I'm gonna
It's
buy
gonna
a
end
whole
for the
pallet.
7.
Listen, I'm gonna buy a whole pallet of fake money. We could rent a car because now I realize I don't have to buy one, but we could rent one, and we could do the average, the one that's like, you sitting in the car and they're like, "Yo, ain't you so and so?" We could do that, and then instead of
Why are you feeling gross?
instead of buying the car, I can use the money that we were gonna buy the car with on advertisements.
Mm, duh, duh. So
So
what are they buying? What are they purchasing?
I didn't get that far yet.
How
So
are they giving us their money?
it's exposure. It's just exposure. So that'll blow us up.
Oh, it's more like, oh, look at this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be funny just for the lulz.
I mean, we have t-shirts on the website, even though the site's not up. It'll be up soon, but we do have merch. So maybe
Mm,
that translates into merch sales.
yeah. Yeah. Let's run it.
I'm gonna do that.
And then we leave the clip at the end about how we just planned this.
You know what's funny is I don't even think people would. It wouldn't even matter. I
You're
I
like, man,
wanna
this
I
guy's
wanna
smart.
I wanna experience it. Like I wanna experience it the way that others do. So I just want to do it and then have them find out later that we planned this whole thing and it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
Because then at that point, it's like even more. It's like, oh, like buy some more stuff.
Oh, they
The
tricked
life,
us. Now I need a shirt. I need a shirt. This is brilliant.
man.
Let me get a hat to match.
I'm gonna do it, bro. I'm telling you, we gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I
I
gotta
mean,
figure out the whole.
that's basically like um, shooting a movie, set pieces, having a set and what do you call it? They're not decorations, but set uh,
Props.
props. Yeah, you have your props, you have your set, you have your camera, you have your script. You make a movie. You're basically making a short film.
Let me see. I'm
You
gonna
know,
see. I'm gonna see.
I can't wait to do the fan thing on my arm with all these fake dollars. I like
Man,
that. It's kind of cool.
and nobody will know.
I'm about to fan this money.
I'm about to this.
I'm about to fan this money all over my body.
Nobody would know. I'm trying to see what the rates are real quick. Hold on.
That's a talent in itself. You've seen people fan money on their arm,
Mm-hmm.
on their leg. These people are real like court gestures. I'm pleased with this performance. Do it again. I'm pleased. More
So
wine.
like, let me see. For a 30-day campaign. So this is why I mentioned on the other one how we couldn't have these guys on the podcast because they wouldn't have this conversation because this is what it's all about. So over 30 days,
These are real gems.
we could spend $1,500 over 30 days with a reach of 110 to 300,000 people.
That's not bad. And basically at this point, you just want eyeballs. You
Oh,
want eyeballs on what you're doing.
1,500. Let me see, over 30. Yeah, because it's $50 a day. So for $1,000 a day, for 30 days, $1,000 a day is 30 grand.
Mm-hmm. So you just got to basically scam people into doing the right thing, listen to the right content.
Yeah. So for 6 grand, we can have a reach of 450 to 1.2 million over 30 days. So if we rent the car, get the fake money,
We don't have that many shirts.
do we got black and whites?
What's 1% of that? That's usually
1%.
the turnover or conversion rate.
Like that's still like a couple thousand people. That's still like 3,000 people.
At 130 impressions, 130,000 impressions.
At
A month?
130,000, yeah, that's over 30 days.
Oh, okay. So
So,
all
oh,
right.
6 grand, like 6 grand over 30 days
So
is
probably thirteen
is
hundred people, converted people, that now wear Rich
and it
by
costs you
Monday
15.
shirts.
It costs you fifteen
You can
hundred
buy
bucks
a black one or a white one.
and a hoodie.
You don't give people too many choices.
Yeah,
This is not. Um, what's that restaurant with all them choices?
that's fifty
Cheesecake
thousand
Factory.
dollars.
We're not
That's
running a Cheesecake Factory here.
yeah. That menu is like a Bible. That's that's $1,500. I mean $52,000 at a
insert
1% conversion rate.
insert sales.
$1,500 conversion. $1,500
$100
investment.
capital.
Yeah, $1,500 in capital. 30 days of marketing. 1% retention. $52,000 if they just buy one shirt.
Okay. Yeah, so the shirts are really soft. They're coming out really soon. We getting the kind that's like really like, you know, I think we both decided we like the 40, the 60/40 shirt.
Yeah, that's what this is.
It's really
Shout out.
comfortable.
I've had this for a while, but shout out Ralph Diesel,
Yeah,
Royal
that's
Dynamite,
that's
Subway
Royal
on
Dynamite.
Hellman, Subway on Rochester, Escrow
Hmm.
Boys, Join Tribal, everything he's doing. Shout out Ralph.
Right. Shout them out.
Um,
So yeah,
but
shirts coming
yeah,
out pretty soon. Yeah,
yeah.
so buy these shirts. We need 1,300 people to buy these shirts. Then we're gonna flip that 58 to 56,000 into the next thing. I mean, now
We
we got
just
to
gonna do
we
it
got to be on a
again.
we got to be on a boat. We got to be on a boat,
Yo,
and
I'm glad you said that, and I'm not gonna give the idea away on here.
yeah,
I'm
no,
not gonna give
that's
it
the
away on
next
here.
one. No, I
I'm
know
glad
where
you
you're
said
going
that
with this, though. Yeah, I know where you're
because
going with this. I know where you're going with this.
I just saw something the other day. I've never been a boat person, like at all,
Man, I
because
love them.
I just knew I just looked at it like that's a different level of money and
The
mentally
maintenance.
even though mentally I'm like the richest person in the world,
Hmm.
but I don't have enough money for a boat, if that
The
makes
maintenance
sense.
on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even know what I
Um.
need to know I don't need a boat.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. Maybe I don't know, man. Maybe like Pimenti was talking about it. Maybe he'll because he's into the boats as well. Like
No, we're
um
gonna buy a boat. And it's gonna be ours. See, that's the narrative. It's our boat. We bought this boat. This is how you
well
get rich by Monday.
I'm not gonna give it away yet because I haven't. I'm gonna show you two things when we get off of here, and we could probably talk about it next week. But
All right.
um actually, so I'll be going out of town tomorrow. I fly out tomorrow, literally tomorrow morning. Um, and then I'll be back the following Wednesday. So Wednesday to Wednesday. So we got to figure out how to record another episode in Louisiana. That's where I'm going. I'll figure
Mhm.
it out. If not, we'll be back to Rich by Wednesday or Rich by Thursday or whatever.
Right.
Um,
It'll
but
come out.
we'll figure that out, and I'm hoping to have the website completely done by then and launched so that you guys can go on there, check it out, buy some merch, support the show, and we'll also be including like a blog on the show, so that way we can get deeper into some of the things we experience day to day, and just deeper on topics that we cover on the show. Since
Hmm.
we kind of talk through them here, oftentimes in jest, like joking about them, but
Hmm.
it'll give us the opportunity to really draw out, our thoughts on these
Yeah. More
things.
more expound on things and maybe leave some resources and um, data sometimes. And
Mm.
sometimes I just like to go off in writing. For me, I'd rather pen it. So yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so I think we can. I think we can go ahead and wrap this up. I want to say thanks again for joining us on another episode of Rich by Monday. Sorry for the delay. Dorrance is on the injured list, but
Yeah.
he's back. We back.
Hey, this is how it goes. This is live. This is live
Yeah,
and authentic. People get
yeah.
sick.
So, any last words, man? Anything else you want to
No, come back
throw in
next
there?
week. we'll be here again. And buy a shirt.
Yeah,
We got to sell 1,300 of
the
them. So
website. The website's not even up yet.
no, buy a shirt. No,
Buy a
you need to
shirt.
think about buying a shirt. This is sales. You got to tell people 12 times before they actually do something. So this
Okay.
is my first time I told you. So I'm gonna tell you 11 more times before you actually even think about buying a shirt until you actually buy a shirt. So we need this money, you know.
Buy a shirt. Hashtag buy a shirt. Once again, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have anything you want to add to the situation, or if anything spoke to you during the podcast, feel free to drop it in the comment below. Hit the like button so we can get the algorithm on our side. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, thank you.